Welcome, Disney enthusiasts, to the Let's Talk Disney podcast. Time to delve into the latest trends, topics, and Disney Reddit realm. Here are your hosts, Samantha and Kindra.
Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 4. I am here with my best friend, my sister, my other half, Marissa. Kindra's right now in Paris. She's in London right now, but she's making her way to Paris, but she's landed safely. So let's get started. So like I said, I'm joined here with Marissa. Marissa's a licensed therapist, so we have a lot to cover today. But before we get into that, we're going to start with some news. Halloween is in full swing in Disneyland. All the merchandise has dropped. The only thing we're missing is the big Winky Blinky pumpkin, which I'm expecting any day. I love that pumpkin.
Me too.
I know, it's so cute. Marissa's also a huge Disney fan.
Yes.
We probably love Disney equally. She just has a real job, so she doesn't get to go as often as me.
Super jealous.
But Marissa loves Star Wars and then all, I feel like nostalgia Disney. So the pumpkin is our thing. Winky Blinky.
Definitely Halloween time is the fave.
Yes. Okay, so getting into the news, Disneyland is making changes to its dining reservations in the app. So right now, when you go in to book a dining reservation, you have the option of choosing breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then in addition, you have the option of picking a time. Now, a lot of users have noticed in the past that they will pick breakfast and nothing will show up, but sometimes they can go into 10 a.m. and things are showing up. So Disney realized that glitch and they're working towards fixing that. So that'll be really good because I do feel like it's really misleading when it comes to reservations. Another news article is the Paradise Pier Hotel has opened up their pool. So right now, Paradise Pier is fully operating. You can stay there. Now there is no discount, even though there's a ton of construction going on, which kind of sucks because I feel like if there's doing construction, you shouldn't have to pay full price.
Yeah, it's kind of an inconvenience.
But the pool and everything is opening up on August 1st. So there's a full splash pad now with water slides and it's Nemo themed. You also have the option of renting cabanas and all of that. So one section of the pool area has a splash pad with water slides and the other section is just a regular swimming pool with cabanas.
Oh yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the designs on the ground.
Yeah, no, it's really cute. And then that about wraps it up for that. So I think we're just going to get right into the discussion topics because I'm really excited to hear Marissa's opinions on these. So we're going to start with, could the Disney adult fad be related to childhood trauma?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, and of course, these are all based off opinions. There hasn't been any real research on this. I don't think, it'd be really hard to kind of come up with this experiment. But I really think that it could be childhood related, to some people because, some people have positive experiences in Disney. And so of course, let's say they have a great time at Disney, really good family time, but then kind of go home to a lot of chaos and, nothing fun, it kind of creates that trauma bond with Disney itself. And this could be the, the park or just anything Disney related. But that could be with anything. But I definitely think people have that type of comfort, or especially if you've had, don't have a lot of positive memories. Going to Disney can kind of really be very nostalgic for somebody going back and you're
I feel like that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I remember we've talked about it before.
I feel like I'll just put it all out there. I didn't have the best childhood and I went on one Disney vacation my whole childhood. My mom and dad took me one time to Disneyland when I was 3 years old, and I felt like when I became a mom, it was okay, we're going to go to Disneyland, I had cousins whose parents took them to Disneyland constantly, and they always had souvenirs and stuff, and they used to have this, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 90s, they had these big displays of the parks,
Yeah.
And they would like put them together, and it would have like all the rides, and they had their living room full of like these displays. And I was a little girl, and I would sit there and I would like look at like the Dumbo ride and like almost like memorize the park from that little display they had in their living room, and just dream like one day I'm gonna be there, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely remember we've talked about it, when we were younger and even now, how it just, and anytime like people kind of ask, like, why Samantha and I are so obsessed with Disney, it kind of like we stem back to that, to where it's just, it was a positive memory as kids, and, we didn't get to go often, but, the one time that we were able to, it was just so fascinating. There's nothing like it. You can't really
I think we
it.
both like obsessed with taking the girls.
Oh yeah.
We have daughters. Our oldest daughters are 5 months apart. And then I have the twins in the middle, and then she has a 3-year-old in the middle. And then we have our baby girls who are 6 months apart. So
yep.
They get to grow up together. So that's really fun.
Yeah. And they've all been to Disney more than the average adult, for sure. So but yeah, no, I definitely think that, the childhood,
giving
trauma.
them that childhood
has
been important to both of us.
Yeah, we were very adamant about making sure that they had a lot of positive memories. I know a lot of people kind of like always would ask Samantha all the time, like, why are we taking the kids? Because they're not going to remember, and it's expensive. But to be honest, it was just as therapeutic for us as it was for them. I mean, yeah, it's definitely, they get tired and cranky throughout the day, but at the end of the day, the
overall memory.
Yeah, they talk about how much fun they had, all the things they got, all the rides and characters that they're obsessed with to this day. So it's great.
Right. Even when we're taking like hella kids to the park by ourselves.
Yeah, it's not for the weak, I'll say that.
I don't know. So a few weeks, when was that? Like a month ago when we went?
Yeah.
Or 2 months ago?
And the thing is, y'all know Samantha. We don't go for just a few hours, okay? We're there dusk till dawn. So
the fireworks are always mandatory.
Our kids are asleep, getting dragged in the stroller, on the tram, like whatever. They're just
lollipops stuck in their hair. They're just
they're done. Like they're physically incapable of making it to the car. Like that's how tired they are, but they have so much fun.
Right. And a lot of you know we live in Las Vegas, so we commute out to Anaheim when we do go. And there's been times where I've made Marissa park rope drop, even though I'm not a huge fan of rope dropping, but when I get to go with her, I'm like, we're going to do everything and we're going to get it done. So we'll rope drop, and then there's times I make her stay till fireworks, and then we drive home.
Yes, and those drives are brutal.
They
are brutal. The drive is the worst part, I will tell you that. It really makes me contemplate going sometimes, because as much as I want to stay till the very end of the day, I'm also sitting there thinking about traffic and how tired we're going to be.
I don't know if you remember, there was one time when we were hitting like Prim, and I started seeing like zombies on the road. I was like, I'm hallucinating. I think I left Las Vegas at 4 a.m. It's now 3:30 in the morning, and I've been up for 24 hours. I'm almost home, but I'm literally seeing zombies. Like,
yeah, I'm just like sitting there trying to like stay awake to keep her awake. She's like, did you see that? What is that? I'm like just tripping. Like, what are you talking about? I don't see nothing. Just road, just darkness. Like that, it's brutal. And then like everyone's snoring in the back, so we're more sleepy. It's just brutal. But we always, thank goodness, make it home safely and just.
We'll just have to take like 30 minutes intervals of naps. You nap for 30 minutes, then I'm going to nap for 30 minutes.
Yeah, we have to just literally switch off because there's no way.
Yeah, but I think we've gotten better about leaving at a better time lately.
We try. But then the kids are like, can we ride this? We didn't get to ride that. And, of course, we give in and let them ride more stuff.
Right, and then they're like, I'm tired. I'm like, well, we're not leaving until the fireworks are over, so...
Yeah, see, and that's one thing that me and Sam do have differences on. Fireworks, I feel like they look very similar to me, so I don't feel the need to stay. She insists we do, and is always asking me if I've seen that, if I'm looking, and I'm like, yes, I'm looking at the fireworks, man. I see what you're seeing. It looks like the exact same as we saw last time. And, I don't notice the difference unless I watch them. Like, when someone posts a video or something about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I noticed. But I'm not, the crowd.
You do need to see Wondrous, though. It's really good.
See,
you're like...
I'll give it a shot, but I'm saying I'm really bad at noticing those kind of differences there. I'll be like, every fireworks show looks the same to me. So I'm pretty bad.
Do you remember at my bachelorette party when I started crying on the middle of Main Street because they canceled the fireworks?
Yes, I did. I was like, yeah, they canceled the fireworks, and Samantha was so bummed. I literally couldn't tell if she was crying for real. I was like, is this a joke? But no, she was serious.
No,
she was serious. I was like, okay.
I just felt like it was like my day.
She was looking forward to it. She really was. She would not stop talking about it. Maybe like a good few hours before they even started.
Well, before that, we were in the Grand Californian drinking, taking shots at the bar.
Yes. And we were at
And then we were like, we have to make it to the fireworks. So we literally like chugged our shots, and then dipped across the street with our blankets.
Yeah, it was freezing too.
It was so cold in January.
And then we went to Oga's Cantina, I think
we
before or after.
Well, I think when it got canceled, we seen that there was like a walk-in, so we got it.
Oh, yeah. So that was a positive, because we really wanted to get there.
Right. Okay. All right, back to the Disney adult being related to childhood trauma. I think our overall vote is probably right?
Yeah.
Or...
Yes, I would definitely agree that it could be related to childhood trauma, yes.
Okay, moving on to our next topic, post-Disney depression. Is this a real thing, and why? I also have a post from Reddit that I wanted to read just to preface the topic. So it starts, just returned from Disney World, and I'm feeling crazy depressed. We just returned from an amazing 9-day trip to Disney World. We literally had the best time ever. Like, what an incredible, fun-filled, packed vacation. Since we got back, I feel stuck in a weird funk, and I'm feeling very depressed. Does this happen to anybody else after a Disney vacation? Should I just be grateful that we were there and we enjoyed such a great experience? I just don't know what it is and what's bothering me so much. I went from sensory overload that put my body into basically shock. I know this sounds weird, but I'm really struggling. My wife and daughter seem to be fine, so it's just me feeling this way. I'm looking for help from my Disney family.
Ooh. Okay, post-Disney depression. I definitely think that's a real thing. I mean, there's not like a lot of, again, like not clinical research on like, vacation blues, but there's definitely research out there from, plenty of doctors and, psychologists that have, they've run experiments and stuff like that, research that when someone goes on a long vacation or any type of vacation and then kind of comes back to the real world per se, that they do experience like the blues, right? It's just because, again, like, you're, it kind of like, you're faced back with reality. You're having a good time, you're less worries, of course, depending on where you're at, but then you come back and it just kind of reality sets in. That's pretty common with a lot of things. I mean, if you think about like, just, not just vacations, but like big events in your life. Like, let's say, when people go like weddings, right? Like you get on that high, you're planning, you have the wedding, and then afterwards it's going to kind of hit you that this is done, it's over. And, it just kind of feels a little surreal, but I definitely think, the post-vacation depression is a thing.
Yeah. I actually felt that with my wedding too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent so many months planning it and like putting everything into it. And then when it was over, I was like, wait, we don't get to do that one more time.
Yeah. Especially if you're having a good time and it was like really good, then it's like, then yeah, you're kind of just like, dang, I don't want it to end. And you kind of just tend to dwell on it. And it's like it's kind of like nostalgic. Like in a way, like, like if you go eat at a place that you have positive memories from, and you kind of sometimes will get hit with a little bit of sadness because you're like, oh, I like reminiscing on the good days. So it's like, pretty, definitely similar.
Right.
With something like that.
I kind of feel that way with Disney World. I really miss Disney World.
Yeah.
I struggle because people, obviously Disneyland is our home park. Disneyland has like this facade of being, you know, Walt Disney's dream, right? So it's way more nostalgic than Disney World, in my opinion. Just like home base almost. Like Disneyland is home base.
Yeah.
But Disney World is just fun. Like the rides and everything. And I almost feel so comfortable at Disneyland. I don't want to say that I don't get excited the same way. But yeah, I guess I just don't get excited the same way. I love it. I could walk it with my eyes closed. I want to be in every piece of it. But like I really want a vacation to Disney World again.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like Disney World, it was huge. I went a long time ago, but from what I do remember, it was huge. And I had a lot of fun. Like,
yeah, a lot of rides. So probably the best way to cure post-Disney depression, plan your next trip.
Yeah.
That's all you can do, right? That's how we all got here as Disney adults.
I agree. I think it's kind of like, you know, the motivation for the next trip is the best thing. But yeah, it's just kind of like, you know, usually like from the small studies that were conducted from that, I know like a lot of people usually start to feel it back to themselves, usually max 2 weeks. You know, it kind of takes time to like, you know, really settle back into the normal pressures of everyday life, getting back to reality because, you know, I think also Disney, again, there's nothing like it. Like, you know, any theme park you go to, any, you know, place, it's just not the same. You know, one thing about Disneyland is just whenever I go, it just feels very nostalgic to me. Like, it just like, you know, all the, you know, things I remember watching as a kid and stuff that I still watch to this day. And it's just like, you just remember, like, I don't know, it just like, you're like kind of like going to a time machine for some people and it's nice.
Right.
So I think that makes a difference.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So our next topic is best advice for dealing with anxiety and PTSD when you're faced with large Disney crowds.
Ooh, okay. Well, like in any anxiety and PTSD situation, you know, you have to just make sure you're fully prepared physically, right? Like just make sure you had a good meal, you're not over caffeinated, you know, especially if you already know that you don't like those like crowds. You know, if that already kind of freaks you out, then definitely avoid the energy drinks and the coffee. And definitely, you know, something a little bit more healthy, like water, maybe.
No coffee, just have water.
Yeah, no coffee and, you know, nothing with too much sugar. Just stick to some good old water. That'll do you good. And then, you know, have a good breakfast or good lunch, whatever time of day you're going.
Do you think it would be helpful to like, you know, we do day trips for somebody, would it be better if they arrived the day before to kind of get their groundings, not just like get there and go, maybe?
Yeah, that makes a difference too, especially someone who has like really bad anxiety. That's probably definitely good because, you know, one key thing with anxiety is like worrying, right? Like getting there on time, like being, you know, riding all the rides. If that's like the kind of anxiety you're having or questions you're asking yourself, then you just give yourself some time, you know, get in, settle in, have a good space, you know, so there's no rushing, you know, you feel prepared. That'll help. And then, you know, my other recommendation is to go with people that you know you're going to have fun with. That's a big thing. I feel like the company at Disneyland really makes a difference because I will definitely say we've gone on some trips and it's not always my favorite with more people because, you know, we all have different opinions. All of our kids always want to ride different things. So it gets to be a little tense to say the least. So, you know, and it's just kind of weird because usually when we go to Disneyland, I let Samantha just take the reins because I know she knows what she's doing. Like she is very strategic in the way we move in Disneyland. And so when someone else tries to come in and mess that up, it just throws us all off, and I don't like that. And so I like to go and do it the way Samantha does it because I said she can walk that place with her eyes closed. I trust her. My kids don't question her, so we're good. And so definitely it matters who you go with. People that you can, you know, not fight with the whole time, that aren't going to be going to the bathroom every 20 minutes and, you know, who aren't going to be hungry every 10 seconds. Like, it's just, you know, and anyone who doesn't like writing anything either. It's like, why are you here, you know? And so
right.
I don't know. And also people who don't like to shop. Like, come on.
Right.
That's boring. Like,
right.
that's boring, man. Just...
Right. And I feel like, okay, people with anxiety, like, it will probably, I used to be very type A. I feel like before I was like, I feel like a Disney expert, I guess. I don't know what I would call it. But before that, I would plan everything. I would read all the reviews. I would literally study the map. If you're new to Disney and it's not like something you go to every day, plan. Read the blogs, like read the reviews on restaurants and figure out what you really want to do, because it's really easy to get stuck in places and like feel like you got nothing accomplished.
Yeah, and you know, and a lot of the things are like the waits are so long sometimes. Like it's not even, you don't even have the luxury to not have your mind made up. So you need to know what you want to do. We normally will discuss on the way there, like on the drive, like, okay, so what are we for sure riding? How much, like, you know, which park are we going to first? Or like how much time we're spending? Like we kind of talk about all that stuff beforehand, and it makes the trip a lot smoother. You know, we even plan on what to get to eat before.
Right.
Like beignets now, beignets later. Like we kind of just like go over that from the get-go.
Yeah. No, and I feel like it is, Marissa and I, like, we are kind of a perfect pair, because I feel like for the most part we like all the same things. We're very similar. We are different in some ways, where Marissa's more laid back than I am. But she's
type A, type B for me.
Yeah.
And I complete paperwork, and I'm a therapist, but I'm very type B. Like if you are like 5 to 10 minutes late to your appointment, I won't be mad.
You can come late, it's fine. Now, if you're late to show up to my house for Disneyland, we're fighting.
Yes, exactly. If you are not at the carpool on the dot, you are getting your phone's getting blown up, or you're driving yourself, man. Like,
Rosa's like, it's fine. I'm like, it's not.
I know.
I'm 30 minutes behind.
Yeah, she'll be like calling me like, are you up? You're up, right? I'm like, yes, I'm awake.
I always have, well, Marissa, but that type B personality of hers, she loves to be late. So I hate that I'm always early. So even with Kendra's also always late. Kindra and Marissa are both always late. So I always have to like text them and be like, are you up? What's your ETA? Because I hate waking up early. I'm a Taurus. I like to sleep. If you take some of my sleep from me, I'm going to be mad. Yeah. So just tell me you're running late and I can bundle back into bed. You know? Like
touche. But there's times where she's already up and out of bed. Like, I'm at Costco. I'm getting gas. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, I got to hurry up. I'm like running out, forgetting half the things I packed because I know it's going to be bad if I'm super late. But yeah, I mean, I can't help it sometimes. I just, I hate being late. So it's like funny that she says that, but I really do hate being late, but I just accept it. I just there's a difference. I just accept it and I don't dwell. Like, I'm not going to like get anxious or upset over it because I no longer can control it. I could control it earlier, but in the moment,
but that ship has sailed.
but it's out of my hands now. Like, I can't control time and I can't slow it down. I can't rewind.
So you just give up.
So I pretty much just at that point take my time. But I should fix that.
See, I do feel like I used to be way more of a planner than I am now. I just feel like my kids have just broke me down.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened to me because for the longest, Sam's kind of been, she definitely had multiple kids longer than me. We have almost about the same amount now, but I had like a good 7-year gap, from my first and my second. So it was so smooth. Like going anywhere, like getting her in the car was easy. It was quick. I didn't have to plan any extra time, but now I have to allot an extra hour to 2 just to get everything settled. Get all of them in the car. Mm-hmm. I don't know how she does it. And I was there and witnessing it, and I still don't know. I don't.
Well, it's funny because her oldest daughter, Melody, and then she has her 3-year-old, Gianna. She called me when I was still working at Aria, and you called me and you're like, I'm pregnant. And I was like getting back from like my work break, or maybe you texted me.
I think I texted you.
But I literally couldn't do anything but laugh.
Yeah.
Because she's been helping me. Marissa used to live with me. So when she just had like one daughter, she lived with me, my husband, Paisley, and our twin boys. The twins were like 2, 1, 2,
Yeah,
during that time frame. And it was just chaos. Like, Marissa was working late at, like, a mental health institute, and there was one time she came outside. She came home from work at, like, 4 in the morning. I used to work graveyard in the casinos. And she came home and the twins were literally in the front yard.
Yeah, there was like, you know, just one was hanging out in the driveway, the other one was making his way down the street almost, and they're in diapers. Like, the door's wide open.
I don't know how they did that.
I don't know either, but knowing them, they probably like put one on their shoulders or something for the other one.
Oh, they were so bad.
They were very conniving but smart, man. Like, I swear they found a way. If they wanted it bad enough, they would make it happen. And so I'm like, just like, what the heck is going on? Go in there, you know, told her husband, I was like, hey, your kids are just running outside.
And my husband's just sleeping.
Yeah.
George and Paisley are just knocked out.
Knocked out. And I just was like, yeah, maybe you should go get them.
And that's why I'm a stay-at-home mom now.
Yeah. Yes, because of all the times I would just come home and the kids were just doing what they wanted.
Climbing up the cabinets to get cereal.
Yeah, like, you know, it was just like you would think a raccoon got in the house. Because that's how bad the kitchen would look. Like, the milk would be all empty and drinking and all over the floor. The cereal's all out of the box. And then, you know, they're just rummaging through everything. And then jumping off the fridge, thinking it's a game. Like, they were having fun. I'll give them that. Like, okay. And they didn't get hurt, which was even more amazing.
But like, at this time, you had one kid, and you just, like, accepted all my kids, and you're just like, all right, like.
Oh, yeah, no, it was cool. They listened to me, so it was really easy. Like,
well,
you know.
I do appreciate that. Yeah. Because it would have been easy to be like, I don't want any part of this, but instead you helped me. We did the thing together, and
see, and that's the thing. She was always apologizing to me, and I was like, why, dude? This is like live-in entertainment for me. It was great, you know, and they said they listened to me, and I felt like if I wasn't there, who knows what would happen to them. Right. When Samantha wasn't there. Her dad
Thank God. It definitely took 2 moms to keep them alive, so.
Yeah, it did, but, you know, yeah, so I was surprised, but, you know, it's just, they're the ones that always make all of our trips
crazy.
Yeah.
But it's funny, though, because I feel like the twins prepared you for Gigi.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Your middle daughter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Don't remind me.
Gigi is just like maybe the twins.
Yeah.
Put together.
Just a girl version.
Yes. But still crazy. She's so funny. She has her own way that she's going to do everything. And
yeah, I'm expecting her to get kicked out of kindergarten any day now.
We're just waiting for the phone call.
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
Oh, Gigi started today. What did her teacher say?
That she did great, but she's struggling with not listening.
That's why I held the twins back. I had to hold my boys back in kindergarten because they just didn't listen.
Yeah, they were like, she just wants to do her own thing. She's very feisty. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to go away. So good luck. They're thinking it's just a phase, like that she's just doing it because she's excited. And I'm like, no, this is what she does at home.
So just let me know when she's kicked out. We'll try again next year.
Yeah, just call me. I need to come get her.
So funny. But then we have our youngest daughters, and like, I just feel like the universe knew we needed them.
Yeah, they were like the chill ones.
Yeah,
they're just looking
we deserve them after their older siblings.
like the cherry on top, but it was literally like they're just always observing. They know what to do, what not to do,
and they're so loving.
Yeah, and adorable.
They love their moms. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got lucky with them. It was like our oldest girls were like, okay, we could do this again. Our middle kids were like, we're never doing this again. Yeah. And then both accidentally get another set that's like, okay, like, this you were worth it. Yeah. You know?
It wasn't too bad. You know, it wasn't too bad. Not too shabby.
Yeah, so funny. Okay, so we kind of went off.
Yeah, a little off topic. Fine. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, so our next topic is there is a stigma with DAS, kind of like a hatred going on in the Disney community where a lot of people hate the DAS program. I feel like a lot of people think it's possibly taken advantage of, which I could see that sometimes it could be, but there's a huge, huge issue with people getting hatred and like side comments with people that utilize DAS for, say, anxiety, because it's almost like an invisible disease, right? Like nobody can tell that you have anxiety. Nobody can tell that you have PTSD unless you have like an actual breakdown. So when people see people with like anxiety or PTSD using DAS and they're just like, there's nothing wrong with them. Why do they get it? Like, what is a good way of breaking down that stigma and helping more people understand that these are actual diseases?
I think it's just one of those things that it just kind of like, people are going to honestly have negative feelings about it unless they personally know somebody with it. And that's the thing too, like even then, like people have a tendency to compare. Like, oh, I know someone with anxiety, but if it's not that bad, then they're gonna kind of envision everyone else's looks like that. I mean, unless, the other day I just had a client had a full on, breakdown in the office, and it's just like until you see someone do that, then you're like, then you probably wouldn't question it as bad. But it's just I think people, struggle too with like if your anxiety or your PTSD is that bad, then they're gonna be like, then why are you here? And that's kind of unfair because it's like, everyone should be able to go and have fun, especially if Disney holds like a special place in their heart. That's it's a little
Disney is like
difficult.
therapeutic in itself, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so because it's just like, again, like kind of like how we talked about childhood traumas. It's like probably like a childhood, not a trauma, but like, a positive thing, a childhood, like, enjoyment and stuff like that. So, um, there's definitely, I think the only way like people could really combat that then is like if, instead of just going up and saying it, right? Oh, I have anxiety, and then they issue a pass, like maybe having something that says like, you're clinically diagnosed, then that's different because we kind of like in this society, because now that everyone does have access to the internet and all these extra things, and you have a lot of people out there talking about mental health that are not qualified, there's a lot of like self-diagnosing going on, especially amongst children and things like that. So, I think if it's clinically diagnosed by a mental health professional, such as myself or like, a psychiatrist, stuff like that, then yes, because there's certain criteria you need to meet for that. And I think it definitely needs to be recognized, so, and if you feel like you have anxiety and you aren't clinically diagnosed, then maybe you should, because at least you can know and like, get some real
Make
help.
sure, or there's a lot of times too when you're self-diagnosing that you're diagnosing yourself with the wrong disorder.
Yeah,
There's
that
a lot of
too.
like I know somebody who thought for a long time that they had depression, but it was actually anxiety that led to the depressed thoughts.
Yeah, no, there's
So,
definitely a lot of like co-occurring disorders and stuff. So I think, when multiple things are going on at once and we don't recognize the other, we just kind of tend to lean more towards the other one. But we definitely, if you feel off or you feel like something isn't right, or you want to make a change, then, consulting in a therapist, it's very scary. It's a very scary thought. A lot of people out there don't also want to have that label on them. But I always tell my clients, it's like, it doesn't define you. It's just something you have. It's not who you are as a person, but it can be worked through. And with more education on it, it makes it more, more bearable than trying to, deal with it on your own. It's no fun. It's no good for anybody. Your loved ones, yourself. And so, especially, so I think definitely with the DAS pass and things like that, maybe, if they were to change anything, then yeah, just I guess make,
maybe they could like change the way DAS is used, like for different disabilities. Like I know there's like, if you think about like Pirates of the Caribbean, like there's a wheelchair accessible line like back by Blue Bayou, but then the regular DAS line is just in the front. So maybe like with severe anxiety and stuff, Disney can do something along the lines of like, hey, like go back through this way. Just because it's darker, there's less people, you don't have to deal with it. But I think also as like a Disney community, we need to do better at not shaming each other you know, not being upset that somebody's using DAS just because you don't know what their issue is.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's just like, we don't know what anybody's dealing with just because they are, they're at Disney. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're okay. I know, I've gone, we both have gone to Disney 9 months pregnant in pain the whole entire time. But I'm just saying, like, but we weren't complaining, like, even though
pregnancy, well, isn't a disability, but
Right.
it is not comfortable. Like, everybody should be able to go.
And that's just something you can see, right? Like, you see a girl, you see somebody doing that, you see they're pregnant, you're like, oh, okay, cool, they're pregnant, right? No big deal. But even though she looks like she's in a good mood, she's probably not. But, so it's just kind of the same thing. Like, when someone has DAS, it's just more of like, we just don't know what's going on.
Well, I think we just need to get to a point of minding our own business, right?
I agree. I definitely agree with that,
sharing compassion. You never know what anybody's going through. Like, even if they're not clinically diagnosed with depression, like, somebody's mom could have died.
Yeah.
Or like,
what if that person has cancer and has, like, a week to live?
Right.
Like, you literally, like, we have no idea what's going on. And that's one thing, that I am so super good at is minding my business. You're not in my face. You're not in my way. Power to you. I hope you have a great day.
Right.
And we should all be the same. Like, when we're there, the only thing you should be concerned about is someone stepping on your foot, and that's it. If no one's in your business, just mind your business.
Right.
Leave them alone. Like, they clearly have something, right? And
it's really none of your business. Like, that's why we have things like PETA. Is it called PETA? What is it called when you can't, like, when you don't have PETAs with animals, right?
PETAs with animals.
I meant... I did not mean PETA.
What are you?
What is it called? Like, where people don't have to, like, tell you, like,
HIPAA.
Not PETA.
That is why we have HIPAA. So, yes, that's another thing, too. I know that's probably an issue when it comes to the DAS thing, too, right? Where it's like, I'm not sharing my medical information with you, and
you don't have to. You literally only have to tell them why you struggle to stand in line. You don't have to tell them your diagnosis. You don't have to tell them. They literally will not ask you what you have. They'll say, why do you have an issue with waiting? That's it. You don't have to say, I'm diagnosed with this. You don't have to say anything like that. So if you don't have to tell a cast member that, why do random people feel like they need to know what you have? It's just not right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's at that point that if somebody says anything, it's just...
I think if you're bothering somebody in line using their DAS, you probably should go see a mental health specialist.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, I get it. People are probably like seeing, like, you see people cutting the line, but again, you don't know what they're going through just because they have they look fine sometimes, or they appear like they don't have any physical disabilities. That does not mean that there are other I guess what it's like, invisible disabilities are not also detrimental or crippling to them,
right?
So definitely mind your business.
Yes. Okay, so I think that wraps it up on our mental health topics. Thanks for covering these.
Of course.
But I have some more fun things to dive into. We're ready for Am I the Asshole?
Ooh, fun.
Okay, so our first topic, am I the asshole for being a Disney dad? I feel like you'll have ideas about this. Okay, I had a daughter 9 years ago. My girlfriend and I broke up before we knew she was pregnant, and by the time my daughter was born, she was dating another guy. He seemed like a nice guy and wanted to be in my daughter's life, and I wasn't really interested in staying in her life, so we all just agreed that it would be best if he raised her instead. However, I didn't give up my rights because I was afraid I would regret it someday. I was right, because as time passed, I started to regret my decision and decided to meet my daughter, and she wanted to meet me as well. This has so far been the best decision I've ever made. She's so adorable. I love her so much. This summer, I asked her mom if I could take her on a trip to Disneyland. Ever since we returned from our trip, my ex-husband has stopped letting me see my daughter, always making excuses that she's busy with homework or that she's not home right now. Yesterday, my daughter called me and angrily asked why I left again. I asked her what she means. She said that that's what her mom told her. I called her mom and blew up on her and asked her why she would say that to her, and she started yelling at me, saying I made their life so much harder by being a Disney dad, because my daughter keeps comparing me to her and also comparing my stepdad to him, or to me, or comparing her stepdad to me. Why he doesn't play with her or take her to Disneyland trips. And recently she stopped calling him dad, and then she hung up on the phone on me. Am I the asshole?
No. I don't think so. I mean, if you really want to make up something to somebody, Disneyland's a good start. So I just think that's better. I don't know what...
I know, but I do just struggle with, like, the idea of only... One, you're the asshole for having a daughter and just deciding, no, I don't want to do this, right? Like, from the beginning.
Yeah.
But then also, like, how easy is it for him to just show up and take her to Disneyland and not have to parent her? Not have to deal with the hard times, not have to worry about disciplining her or raising her to be a good human. She just comes, he's like, we're going to Disneyland. Like,
yeah, but I don't know. The way I see it is that if stepdad was doing his thing, she wouldn't have been so easily swayed.
Maybe.
Right? I mean, if that's like so, like the man who raised you, you're just gonna be one trip to Disneyland's all it took. I don't know about that. But I mean, I honestly think though that, I mean, okay, so he said in there that he asked the mom and told her, I'm taking her on a trip. I mean, it's not like he just spontaneously was just said, I'm gonna have her for the weekend and then took her to Disney. Right. I don't know where the mom expected him to take her. Like, where else do you take a 9-year-old girl that's gonna have the best time?
Right.
Probably Disneyland, right? And I mean, yeah, he's definitely, the asshole.
Well, he does have some making up to do, obviously, by missing all that time.
And he said, and he already acknowledges that he regretted it, and he's been trying to make up for it. So I think that was a good start. I'm not saying that, bribing her at Disneyland is going to be a good, idea. If he has the money, then why not? But but still, I don't think he's the asshole for that. I think it's kind of jacked up. The mom just
cut him off and said that he wasn't calling. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think they're both assholes in this situation. Like, the mom had a new a new boyfriend that she was dating while she was pregnant. She was like, we're just gonna raise this baby. Like, he should have been more of a man and, like, stepped up to the plate and, fought against that. But at the same time, that's kind of what the mom wanted, right? Like, she wanted her happy family with her new man.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I feel like if she really didn't want him to be in her life, then she should have just said no, right? Like, to taking her on a trip.
Right.
But I bet you if he took her to somewhere
I do think
dumb,
it would be hard. Like, imagine, like, if me and George weren't together. And, like, I'm, like, sitting here busting my ass, raising these kids, like, and I maybe don't have the money because I've been a single mom or, sacrificing my career to take care of these kids. And then dad just shows up 9 years later. He's like, let's go to Disneyland. Like, no. That would be hard. I think it's hard. I just don't think there's a good person on either side.
Right. I think it's just the intention. I think if he intentionally did it on purpose, like, I want to make them look bad, then yes, he would definitely be the asshole in this situation. But if he was genuine about it, and, knowing him, if he obviously hasn't been a dad for that long, he has no idea what he did wrong.
Right.
He doesn't know what he's doing. But I think
they need to get into, like, a custody agreement at this point. Like,
yeah, definitely, like, some type of agreement. But I bet you, if anything, if he took her to, like, Chuck E. Cheese or something, they'd be talking mad shit. They'd be hating. They would be hating. It was like, wow, that's the trip, or that's the one place you went? Wow. Like,
I know.
He wouldn't have lost either way. There was L's on both. There's no matter what.
Right.
He was doomed.
So the top comment says, you suck for abandoning your child and thinking you can just show up and play dad whenever's convenient. She sucks for letting the situation get here. You've only been back in her life for 4 months, and her mom let you take her on a trip, a complete stranger who took 9 years to decide to show up. What kind of parent thinks that's a good idea? Mm-hmm. Y'all need to go to court and get a visitation schedule and pay up. It's true.
Dude, I'm saying.
I'm hoping my assumption is that you haven't been paying child support. If that's not true, otherwise 9 years of back pay is going to hurt.
Yeah. I'm saying, but that's the thing. I mean, that's on the mom too, as you know. They must have had...
I honestly, though, couldn't imagine, like, somebody not being in my life for 10 years and be like, okay, 4 months and you get to take her to... I would have probably said no to begin with.
I would have said hell no. I still, to this day, do not let anyone take my kid on trips without me. I think Samantha's done it maybe once.
I literally beg all the time.
Yeah, but, like, I don't, her dad for years... And we co-parent, mind you.
No, they're good. Like, Brian and Marissa are the definition of co-parents.
Yeah, like, we co-parent, right? But, like, I do not let him take her anywhere out of state. He's out of his mind. I don't...
You did let him lately.
Yes, but she's 10. So just lately. Mind you this. I just, I never trusted anybody, like... And it wasn't that I thought they were going to do anything to my kid. Like, for the record, like, I know Sam would, never... and like hurt my kids or lose them on purpose, but I just don't put it past other creeps, like it's just, I was always freaked out about it. So including with her dad, like I just don't, I don't like that idea. So the fact that the mom was like, yeah, go ahead, take her out of state. Took you long enough. Like, right. She's crazy. She's nuts. I don't know what she was thinking. I would have been like, no, we can all go. That's what I would have said.
Right.
We can all go.
And I'm sure, like, not to bring this up, but a lot of time, like, abuse is more likely to happen in families than with strangers.
Yeah.
So the fact, I don't know.
Yeah, just saying, yeah, go ahead, take her and see you later when you guys are back. Like, no, we're all going. This is a family Disney trip, all right?
You better pay all that back pay of 9 years of child support. You're taking us all to Disneyland, brother.
Like me, like, stepdad staying home. You're taking me and the kid to Disney. We're going real family trip. That's what's happening.
It'd be like, I don't even have to stay with you guys, but I'm gonna be hanging out in the wings. They're like,
yep. I was like, I'll be 2 carts behind you, 2 buggies behind. I'm like,
but I'm still there, always watching.
2 buggies behind, but I'm there.
So funny. Okay, so what's our overall vote? They're both wrong?
Yeah, they're both.
Yeah,
they're both assholes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the dad's the asshole from the beginning, not stepping up. And the mom is also... They're both the assholes from the beginning. And I feel like right now they need therapy.
Yeah.
They probably need to go to a good family counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah, to work this out.
Yeah, send them my way.
Okay, our next topic. Let's see. Am I the asshole for saying no to my in-laws wanting to take our kids to Disney?
Ooh.
So now Grandma and Grandpa want to take them to Disney, huh?
Like, we'll see how this goes.
Like, if the dad can't take him to Disney, I don't know really if the grandma.
It's like, what about the grandpa?
Okay, it says my 28 male, wife, 28 female, and I have 2 daughters, 6 and 5 years old, which is the prime Disney age. They're both super into princesses and all that. We've talked about taking them to Disney over the next few years because we knew they'd love it. My wife has never been before, and I've only been once when I was 10 years old. It was definitely a memorable trip for me as my family had to save up for it for a while. We've always known that Disney would be our big trip with our girls. In July, my father-in-law got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and after a few rounds of chemo and some rather intense stays at the hospital, it has only gotten worse. It's spread across other organs in his body, and rather than trying to fight it, he's opted to not do chemo and try to live with the time that he has left. As a result, him and my mother-in-law have decided to make memories with the family. One of these memories is to take our daughters to Disney and surprise them with a trip yesterday during Christmas. At first, I thought my wife would be against it as well. We've always said we wanted to experience it with them to see their faces. However, I found out that my mother-in-law cleared it with my wife last month. My wife didn't tell me because she thought I would be surprised and excited for our daughter. I sat through the rest of the night, and when we got home, we had a serious discussion about it. I told my wife that I didn't want our daughter's first trip to Disneyland to be without us. She suggested we go along. But this trip in February and booking flights, hotels, tickets for just my wife and I for the time is going to cost almost $5,000. I told my wife that we would have a talk to the parents and decline the trip. But my wife is saying I'm being selfish and heartless and robbing our daughters of the experience and robbing them of a core memory with their grandpa before he passes away. Am I the asshole?
Yes. Grandpa is on the verge. I mean, and kind of like this ties back into like our topics earlier where he was saying that like, he went to Disney when he was 10. It was a memorable trip for him. Family had to save up, and he knew that Disney was going to be like a highlight for his own kids. So that just kind of shows that, Disney definitely leaves imprint, even for a one-timer. Okay. But in that, it just shows that he does not want his daughters to go to Disneyland without him, even though his father-in-law is, dying. Like, that just shows how intense it can be for some people. Like, he is not playing. Dad is ready to just decline, shoot him down, say, sorry, father-in-law.
Die, go but by you're not doing this.
Go with your wife and have fun. We're going in a few months.
I don't know. I just feel like I can understand because I couldn't imagine if I had to like miss my kid's first trip to Disney. I would honestly be probably devastated. But at the same time, like, make the trip happen. I get it that it's $5,000 and might seem unfeasible. Start a GoFundMe page. Maybe it doesn't have to be $5,000. Like, it doesn't have to be $5,000. Hop on that Spirit flight, stay in a cheaper hotel. You don't have to stay in the same hotel as them, and do it, like, I don't see, even if I've gone to Disney World from Las Vegas for less than $5,000. So if grandma and grandpa are willing to pay for the kids, you and your wife should be able to get there for under $5,000.
Yeah, no, Dad better be working some overtime then. You got a couple months, you got 2 months to scrape up the cash. But at the end of the day, I mean, and
maybe like grandma and grandpa could help them get there.
Yeah, that's another thing. I was about to ask, like, maybe if they but that's the thing though. He says the wife already talked to them about it and said yes. And she did it. She only thought he was going to be happy and surprised. So that shows their lack of communication, because she thought he was going to be happy and excited, but in reality, he's up all night tossing and turning about it, and he's pissed, so ready to decline. So
I do feel bad. That's the kind of wife I am. I need to get better at running things by my husband.
Yeah.
Sometimes my husband, like, calls me, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, shopping. And he's like, oh, okay, you're at Target. I'm like, Disneyland? He's like, you're at Disneyland today?
Yeah, our home base, Target. Not shopping at Disneyland, shopping at Target.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But I mean, in that sense, it's a little different because that's like, your job. But this, in a sense, it's like she didn't, she thought he was going to be happy, but that's probably because he doesn't talk about it. Like, he doesn't say like my core memory, like, a core happy memory was when I went to Disney when I was 10. I always dreamed of taking my children there. Like, I don't, I highly doubt he said that.
Right.
So shame on him for not saying that. So, speaking his mind and sharing his feelings. But at the end of the day, then I feel like in this situation, I would tell him, stop being the asshole and find a way to make it there.
And if you can't figure out a way, whether that be loans, credit cards, going on a cheaper route, then you got to let them go.
Yeah, maybe, and then maybe ask the kids too. Like, I know they're probably, and that's another thing. I would, if I was the wife, I'd be like, okay, ask the kids. You know what they're gonna say? They're gonna want to go to Disneyland with grandma and grandpa.
Right. So the top comment with 36,000 upvotes. You're the asshole. Your wife is right. I understand your disappointment of not being there for their first time to Disney, but there are special circumstances. Their grandfather, your wife's father, is dying and wants to create these memories with his grandchildren when he has one last chance. It's a small-minded and selfish to take that opportunity away from not only him, but your children, so you could have the first experience with him. Do you think if you do this, your wife and daughters won't resent you once they're burying their grandfather?
Ooh, burn.
If you do this, remember someday your daughters will be adults and they'll think about it and look back and think about how selfish you were.
Seriously. Like, they may not understand now, but down the road, they're going to hear that story. Mm-hmm. Whether mom gets pissed and tells them the story or grandma tells them. But someone's going to find out. And the thing is that, you know, luckily you're fortunate enough to be healthy. You could take your kids to Disney another time. Right? Like, you know, it's just, I feel like it's just really thinking about your own things. It's like, yeah, you have his feelings are completely valid. Don't get me wrong. Like, that disappointment and, you know, of what he envisioned, right? But at the same time, being considerate and like taking into account that someone's life is coming to an end that the kids are going to be devastated about. And so, you know, it's important like for them to have that time. It's because, you know, that's going to really help them with the healing process too.
Mm-hmm. To have those memories with
especially like immediate memories, you know, not like something that happened a couple years ago. Like,
well, but they're even like lifelong memories, you know, they'll remember that, and that's how they'll remember their grandpa. And yeah, I mean, if you can't figure it out to get there, I'm telling you, Disney, if you do Disney like hardcore, yes, you're going to spend $5,000 for two people, but there's definitely ways to get there for less than that. Yes. You could probably get there, a plane ticket, even if each plane ticket was $300 round trip, which sometimes you can get round trips to Anaheim or LAX for like $76 because it's like a hub. I've seen $50 flights, you know, so let's go high end, $300 per ticket. That's $600. We have 2 3-day tickets. That's like $350. Okay, we're sitting there now at like $700. There are hotels near Disneyland that are like $86 a night. I'm not saying you're not going to get bed bugs, but that's besides the point.
That's why you just stay out of the room as much as you can.
Right. And you're just there to sleep, even if you get attacked by bed bugs, but at least you were there, right?
That's sleep in the tub.
Or I'm sure like grandma and grandpa have a hotel.
And you can sleep on the floor.
No, sleep on the floor. Get a blow-up mattress.
Yes. Pull-out couch. Something.
Right.
Like, make it happen. Like, you know, we used to go to Disney, like, when we were broke. We would, like, people were always, like, probably really, like, curious what we did on the side or something. Because they're like, how are you guys struggling so bad, but still make it to Disney all the time? And I'm telling you,
if there's a will, there is a way.
We made it happen because our kids and we was just so much fun because of all the stressful stuff we were dealing with. You know, I was going through school. Samantha was, you know, working, you know, and also, you know, having her kids and being
we were both. I guess we never said that we were both really young moms. We both had we're pregnant our senior year of high school.
Yep.
And so it was hard being a teen mom.
Yeah.
You know, it was really hard, but thankfully we had each other to get through.
Yeah, no, seriously, because because of that, you know, that's a main thing of how we spent a lot of time together and things that we enjoyed. Like, you know, we weren't the friends that were like going to the clubs or bars. Like we
couldn't. We had responsibility.
Yeah, so we were like, what's something fun we could do that we can bring the kids?
So we saved all of our pennies and made it to Disneyland.
Yes, constantly. And like, you know, our kids now are like so desensitized to it. Like, yeah, they, you know, they still get excited to this day, but when they go, it's like
home for them.
Yeah, and it's like normal. Like most kids, like they're excited because they never get to go. Our kids are excited because they just can't wait to go back, type of thing, because they, you know, it's like an expectation for them. It's probably not the best thing we did, but we made them a little bougie, but they, you know, it's like it's really cool that we were able to
make the sacrifice to get there. So if we can make the sacrifices, I feel like this family can make the sacrifices. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yes, definitely.
You know, I mean, I'm sure if you wrote up a GoFundMe about your dying dad, you'll get some money. So.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, there's definitely were some things. So at the end of the day, yes, Dad, you are the asshole.
Yes, you're going to Disneyland.
Or you're staying home. and you're getting some pictures.
We'll bring you home a lollipop.
Yep. Oh, geez.
All right. So I think that wraps up episode 4. Thank you for joining me, Marissa.
Of course.
And then I think in the future we'll have you on. I really want to cover having a lot of kids in the park, toddlers. Because we've really gotten good at with babies in the park. So
yeah, there's a lot of stuff about that.
We'll cover babies in the park one day, but for now I think that's it. And I hope everybody has a great night. Or a great rest of your day.
Yep. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye. We would like to take a second to thank our members on Patreon, and a special shout out to Mindy Mendoza for supporting our show. Your support will ensure that the podcast will continue and that we're able to bring the latest news straight from the park. If you would like to become a member, head over to our Patreon that we've included the link below in our show notes.